Welcome back to Community Matters. We're talking to Nick Malinowski today, the Executive Director of Kidznotes. And Nick, again, thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's been really wonderful. Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the program again, about just the cost of it, because obviously there is a cost. How are you funded?
Absolutely. So we are really fortunate to be funded through a balance of very generous individual donors, foundation grants, and then through special events. So we have a nice balance of those three. But you know, just like with any nonprofit, keeping the program going is incredibly expensive. You know, so a lot of our work is spent making sure that our students have the resources they need, and that means getting in front of people who want to commit to our students and want to see outcomes that they know are there for our kids at the end of the road, right? It's not just like you said, it's not just playing music, but it's making an impact in students' lives. So we spend a lot of time trying to get in front of people who want to dedicate themselves and their time, treasure, and talent to that kind of impact.
Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm hoping you'd like to see this this program expand. It seems like it has a successful track record. What kind of reaction are you getting from the community?
You know, we started in 2010 with 60 students, and we're going to serve almost 500 students in Wake County and Durham this year. And we're going to serve 1,000 students in Wake County and Durham by 2020. And then we are committed to serving 10 communities across the state in the next 10 years. We have really ambitious goals, but we feel like if Kidznotes is important for a kid in Durham, it's important for every kid in the state. And so we're going to work incredibly hard to make that happen.
What kind of events do you have? How often do they get to play in front of an audience?
So yesterday we had 3 students playing at the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Convention. Performances kind of beget performances for our kids. We perform dozens of times every year in both public and private events. We have big public concerts where all of our students get to play, and those are great because you see the progression from Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to Vivaldi, right? You're seeing an incredible progression musically and in terms of maturation, so those are great to see. But then we also have our all-star trio. We have a violinist, a violist, and a cellist who people are hiring to play their weddings. People are hiring to play, you know, bar mitzvahs, North Carolina Association of County Commissioner events, and stuff like that. So we try to provide opportunities for all of our students at every level to get out into the community and play as much as possible. And people can certainly find out more about all our performances and performance opportunities at kidznotes.org.
What's it like for you? I mean, how long have you been with the organization? No, I'm serious. You've been there, but did you say 2010?
So Kidznotes was founded in 2010, but I'm in my first year.
Oh, you're in your first year. Okay, well then you probably won't. But still, you know, in a year's time, you'll be able to see progress within a student. But what's it like for you to see students who all of a sudden fall in love with something? And maybe something like, as you mentioned, they didn't even think of.
You know, it's incredible. I've spent my career as a music educator, and the work has incredible rewards, but you don't see them every day. And then every once in a while, you have a moment that just makes you reflect on how lucky you are to do what you do. I'm an opera singer by training, and I don't really sing professionally anymore. People ask me, don't you miss it? And I say, yeah, I miss it, but I get more enjoyment out of seeing what our students can do and giving everything I can to them, because they have more potential than I ever had. You know, a brief story that really affected me personally, I used to be a choir director at a public school. I had an incredible young lady in my class, and her name was Vanessa, and Vanessa sang in my choir for 4 years, and she loved it. She kept every piece of music that we ever sang throughout 4 years. And about 2 years into her college career, she was studying music at the University of Arkansas, and she contracted leukemia, and she passed away. And I got a call the night before her funeral. All of the alumni of my high school choir had come back together, and they said, Mr. Malinowski, we're singing Vanessa's favorite piece at her funeral tomorrow. We need you to coach us through it. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. That was one of those moments where you see music's impact beyond the sound, right? really making a permanent impression in lives, and it has this ripple effect. It spreads out, it affected everyone. And Vanessa affected everyone whose life she touched, and her legacy still lives on. And so we see that with the Kidznotes students every day, people who are changing their families, right? Their families are becoming committed to the program. Their parents are becoming actively involved in what we do. Our parents organically formed these Kidznotes parent advisory committees. They decided they wanted to be more involved. They wanted to help make decisions and raise money for the organization. And so in both Raleigh and Durham, they formed parent advisory committees. You see the impact in more than just music, and it's really, I'm so lucky to be able to see it.
You mentioned parents, and one of the criticisms of the public education system from teachers is oftentimes having parents be involved with their kid.
Sure.
It doesn't sound like you have that problem with this particular program.
We are really fortunate to have incredibly committed parents, but look, you have to be committed. I mean, you're talking about 4 days a week, right? 2 hours a day, 3 hours on Saturday. That's not a small commitment, right? And so parents don't take it lightly.
Well, let me interrupt, and because that's such an excellent point, and I want people to understand, who are we talking about? Who are the students we're talking about? These are kids that are coming from primarily lower income.
That's right.
So it's a greater hardship, is it not?
We serve students at Title I schools, where a certain percentage of students qualify for free and reduced lunch. And, you know, there are many reasons that we do that, but the first is those are students who wouldn't otherwise have that opportunity on their own, whose parents want to give them music lessons because they, like every parent, they know how important it is. They intuit, like every parent does, the incredible benefits of music education, but don't have the time or the money to make it happen outside of school. So we have parents who are desperate to give music to their kids, and so they're really willing to make a commitment to us.
Well, it's not only the love of music, and clearly you love it, but for the kids themselves, because these are kids in an education system, and oftentimes it's not the greatest school, but how does being part of this program influence them in the rest of their studies?
No, that's a great question. So we have intuitions about it, but further than intuitions, we have data. Yeah. We're incredibly fortunate at Kidznotes to be partnering with the Social Science Research Institute at Duke University and conducting a 4-year, $350,000 study that's funded by the Brady Education Foundation to look into the impact of our program on kids. Now, we have already found, part of our agreement with school districts is that we can see attendance data and end-of-grade test scores. We're already seeing an increase in attendance, an increase in student engagement in school, and an increase in a significantly, a statistically significant increase in end-of-grade exams.
That's terrific. That is absolutely true.
And I spent part of my summer in Los Angeles listening to research being presented by neuroscientists who are studying the effect, not just of music on the anatomy of the brain, but of El Sistema-inspired programs like Kidznotes, and kids who participate in them over time actually physically growing portions of their brain through that work.
It sounds like a wonderful program for the parents who are watching. And maybe they want to get involved with their child, or maybe beyond that. How can they do that?
Absolutely. So the best and easiest way to do it is to go to kidznotes.org. That's KIDZnotes.org. You can also find us on Facebook at Kidznotes. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, or I always want people to feel like they can email me. I asked for the easiest email address I could possibly have. It's just nick@kidznotes.org, NICK@KIDZnotes.org. We would love to expand our reach and work with as many families as possible. So we look forward to hearing from anyone who's interested.
Always a pleasure and an honor having you on the show today. And thank you for what you do. It sounds like a wonderful program. It really does.
Thank you, Bill. I really appreciate it.
And thank you all for sticking around, because when we come back, we're going to see some of the musical talents of Kidznotes in action.